Welcome back. In the United States today, there are more than 1.5 million electric vehicles on the road. And it's estimated that a couple decades from now, more than half the vehicles on the road will be 100% electric. It's a milestone that many folks thought was impossible, but now it's impossible to ignore. Chelsea Sexton has been a proponent of electric cars for decades, and she joins us now with more on National Drive Electric Week. Chelsea, welcome to Houston Life. We're going to learn more about this National Drive Electric Week in just a moment. But early on in your life, Chelsea, you became an advocate for clean, efficient transportation. Where did this drive, no pun intended, come from?
By accident, as most of the best things usually do. I started selling cars at 17, gas cars, as a way to put myself through college. And a few years into that, the EV1 came out from General Motors, or at least it was planned. And I was such a nerd that the technology itself appealed to me, and I jumped over to that program instead, drove it for the first time, discovered I like torque and horsepower more than anybody rightfully should, and I have been an addict ever since.
So that sort of puts the myth to the test. Electric cars are not slow and sluggish, they are super fast. The EV1 was like this original electric car developed by General Motors, and I know that you worked to help that launch. That was 24 years ago, right?
December 1996. So yes, we're coming up on 24 years.
And since then, I mean, talk to us about what the last few decades have meant for the electric car, because it seems like now, even today in 2020, a lot of people are totally unaware of how they work, how they charge, how far you can go, and all of the things.
For sure. And yeah, on one hand, we have 1.5 million cars. At the same time, we sell somewhere between 14 and 17 million cars every single year. So it's a drop in the bucket, even as we're excited that momentum is building. It has always been a very grassroots, consumer-oriented technology. And so it remains kind of the only example in the history of the auto industry in which we've had to pull the industry along. And to a large degree, that's still true. There's still many automakers that are kind of ambivalent, and there are others that are starting to see the light and really get into this in a much bigger way. And so we're excited about all of them, but we remain perpetual cheerleaders and coaches and occasionally flogging to try to get the industry to move along with us and not become the Kodak of the automotive world.
That's a great way to say it. No one wants to become the Blockbuster Video of the video world either, right? Like, they didn't go out of business because people stopped watching films. Let's talk about this documentary, Who Killed the Electric Car? And I know this was back in 2006. I saw the documentary. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of yours, and you definitely got me thinking about the world and the way we do things. It has been 14 years since that documentary. Are we farther along now than you expected we would be, or are we farther behind in terms of the mass adoption of electric cars? And why do you believe it's important that we move in this direction?
To your first question, yes. Many of the dynamics frustratingly remain the same, and yet there has been progress, mostly because the happy warriors, whether they're drivers on the outside or individual advocates or happy warriors inside companies, are trying to still nudge this along. And policymakers need to be more credited as well. Part of the reason we have EVs at all are because California established a mandate in the 90s requiring automakers to start building cleaner cars. National standards in both the US and Europe continue to get more stringent, and so we're starting to see improvements even in gasoline cars, but certainly in support for electric cars. And so all of those things are encouraging, and yet, understandably, because they're profit-oriented, most of the industry would rather still make the things that are familiar and profitable and that they're used to, and not necessarily move along as quickly as customers want, as policy requires, and to some degree, even as the planet requires.
Just the term electric car, I know it freaks a lot of people out in Houston because we're an oil and gas town, but it's interesting to see a lot of these oil and gas companies sort of rebranding as energy companies, right? Because our energy needs are growing. Texas is the leader when it comes to wind power. Tesla just announced they're building a huge gigafactory over in Austin in Travis County. Talk to us about this National Drive Electric Week that is happening, because right here in the Houston area, I think we have something like 19 area auto dealerships who are totally on board. They have partnered up with you.
That's awesome. I mean, we love to see that, and dealers are incredibly important to the success of all of this. National Drive Electric Week is in its 10th year, although it's a reflection of something we learned even earlier, which is that the best way to get people interested in electric cars is to give them the chance to see, touch, drive, talk to real owners, basically be exposed to them. Because until that happens, most people think of electric cars as golf carts in the US or milk floats in Europe. They think of them as slow and pokey and unable to go anywhere, and not at all respectful of the passion that exists for cars in general. They're an emotionally driven product, and electric cars are no different. So that's the birth of National Drive Electric Week. Obviously, this year is a little bit different for obvious reasons, and so many of the events have gone online, but not all. There's about 100 online events and about 50 that will be in person with all the relevant distancing and things involved to keep everyone safe. But we still are aspiring to let people have the opportunity to learn more about them, to provide virtual experiences with them, and overall get them more excited about the idea that their next car might be electric, even if they're not quite there yet today. So it's not a matter of pushing anything on anyone. It's that we have a very big tent and a very cool experience, and we're inviting everyone to join our party.
Free to sign up. We're going to make sure we have a link on our Houston Life Facebook page. Very quickly, last question, because we're out of time. We're starting to see not just electric cars, but we're seeing electric buses, electric bicycles, delivery vans for Amazon. Is it just a fad, or do you believe that electric cars and electric everything will be the future?
Electric transportation is the future in all forms. And even those that aren't ready for electric cars should try an electric bike or climb on an electric bus or root for electric street sweepers to come to your town, if for no other reason they are so much quieter and smoother and less disruptive to neighborhoods in electric mode. So yes, in all of these ways, they're all equally important and they all move on parallel paths. But anywhere we can have electrons replace fossil fuels, that's a great thing. And lots of electricity comes from natural gas, and a little bit even comes from oil, but we can also use the oil for better things than putting it in our cars. So this is not really so much of an oil and gas versus EV thing. This is an everybody moving into the future thing.
Well said. Chelsea Sexton, thank you so much. National Drive Electric Week. A reminder to our viewers that we do have a link on our website if you would like to learn more about it. Chelsea, thanks so much.
Thanks for letting me crash your party.
You're always welcome.